Here we have two maps and a chart. The first map reads farm production in Russia and the republics. The second map reads mineral deposits in Russia and the republics. And the chart says temperature records for Russia and the republics. So the first thing to remember is that this is Russia and the republics. So for example, in our first map, we have farm production in Russia and republics. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different categories. We have grain, livestock, potatoes, vegetables, industrial crops, market gardening, vegetables, fruits, and dairy cattle, sugar beets, grain, livestock, dairy, and meat, livestock, dairy, and meat, industrial crops, potatoes, vegetables. So you can see that much of this grain, livestock, potatoes, this right here, this category is found in all parts of Russia, and it comes on up over to here to different parts of Georgia, Belarus, perhaps the Ukraine, and maybe parts of Kazakhstan. Here, this livestock, dairy, and meat industrials, this gray is along through here, along with some of the black. That would be found in places like again Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, Moldova, Latvia, those areas. Then we have this area right here, the sugar beets. And we have an area that has the sugar beets, grain, livestock, including dairy and meat, which would be this area right in here, which would include the Ukraine, among some of the republics. And then we have market gardening, vegetables, fruits, dairy cattle, and those are kind of scattered. You can see throughout this area right here. We have all these little dots over here. So they're scattered throughout parts of the republics of Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Georgia. So all of these are showing different parts of farming and ranching in the Russia and republics. This next map shows coal deposits and petroleum products. Petroleum products can also be considered gas, oil production. So here we see our coal deposits in the darker areas. You can see it's right along through here. There's some up here, a little bit over here, and then we have a lot along through here, and of course in the Arctic. And there's other small places where you might see some. But mainly most of it is in the center of Russia and is owned by Russia. This is important because Russia, because it has the oil deposits, gives it a little bit more power over the other republics who are dependent on oil for heating their homes and for gas and other. So as we look at the petroleum products, we see a lot up here in the Arctic areas. We have a whole bunch over here in Russia, and here in Russia, all of this, most of this is in Russia. Over here, we have deposits of oil and gas in Turkmen, also Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. But most of it you can see is these petroleum products, oil and gas, is in Russia. Already, here's some more right here on those coal deposits. So you can see that Russia, because it has most of the oil and gas and coal deposits, the other republics are dependent on them for their heating and for their fuel. Finally, we have a chart here that says temperature records for Russia and the republics. So remember, these are records, so they're highs. Here you have a high, record high. It's in Celsius and Fahrenheit in parentheses, and the record low in Celsius and Fahrenheit parentheses. In Europe, for instance, in Mexico, they use Celsius quite a bit. Here in the United States, we use Fahrenheit. They're really the same temperature. So 21 and 2/10 degrees Celsius is 70 and 2/10 degrees in Fahrenheit. So the high in January, the high is 70, and the low is negative 96 and 2/10 degrees Fahrenheit and negative 71 and 2/10 degrees Celsius. So you can look at these temperatures and you can see it's very, very cold, or it can be fairly warm. But remember that these are records. They're not averages. They're the very highest temperatures and the very lowest temperatures recorded through each of the 12 months of the year. So there's a few generalizations that can be made. One is that farming and ranching are located in areas different from the areas where oil and coal are found. Another generalization that could be made is that most of the coal resources in Russia are found in the center of Russia. Here we have a map showing Russia and the former republics with lines of latitude and lines of longitude. So our lines of latitude going this way, and our lines of longitude go up and down this way. So if we look at, say, between 60 degrees east and 75 degrees east longitude, so we have 65 degrees east and 75 degrees. 60 to 70, that'd be right in here. Okay, so the question is, where do we have most of the cities in this? So we would say that most of them are between 30 degrees, would it be 30 degrees east and 60 degrees east and 60 degrees north and 75 degrees north. No, it wouldn't be in here. Couldn't be in there. We want it in here. So that would be 60 degrees north and 45 degrees north. And then it would be 30 degrees east and maybe 60 degrees east. So that's how you read your map with latitude and longitude.